sold it to a local guy for not very much money, and all we did is we unbolted the yellow air scoop
Right.
off the top,
Right.
and we pushed it out the door. And they got the complete thing for, I don't remember how much it was.
Yeah. How much?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
Tom, Joe,
2,500.
$2,500
bucks.
for the Surfmobile.
Now, the obvious question, speaking of the magic, were the injectors the same?
Yep.
everything but
Yeah.
the magic. The tune-up was there because Walt Stevens drove the car with your tune-up on it, and he said made more power than anything he'd ever driven before. So it was the surfer's car, just less the scoop.
Yeah, they just put a regular cast Hilborn scoop on it. And they got everything, all the knobs turned wrong or something, and they couldn't get it to run right. So Walt Stevens was driving the thing, and I don't know, Walt or somebody came and asked me if I'd come and just kind of straighten the thing up for him. So they were at some kind of a big race at Long Beach, and so I went down there and took a look at it, and they had the camshaft installed wrong, and just the thing's out of whack. So I just kind of went through it and just checked everything, and we got done, filled it up with 97 or whatever, and went to the starting line, and to this day, Walt Stevens says I had hydrazine in it. He touched the throttle and he could not believe what happened.
Wow.
And I've told him repeatedly that no hydrazine. I just put it back like it was supposed to be.
Like a star, so it's all good. Okay, Walter, here we go. Now we got some interesting information because you are one of the few drivers still around that drove the Surfmobile way back when. And that's what I think is very interesting. So if you could tell us a little bit about the story. I mean, we know that they finished up at Indy, then they brought the car back.
Yep.
Then they decided they were going to sell it, right? So tell us about that.
Well, they put it in Drag News, I think, and it was for sale. Nobody was interested in it. But a friend of mine, Jim Hoskinson, lived in Santa Monica.
Right.
He bought the car.
Right.
And he had a young man driving it. And they
Yes.
took it to Orange County,
Yep.
because it was UDA license and all that.
Right.
And the car go out and make a right-hand turn, a left-hand turn.
Okay.
And so Jim, I was working at RCS, working for Hussar.
Yes.
And next time I got Jim Hoskinson, wanted to know if I would look at the car.
Yeah.
And I said, no. But he said, would you drive it? I said, well, yeah, let's go down on Wednesday night, Orange County. I'll make a run at it.
Yes.
Sure enough, the car went about 300 foot. Left-hand turn.
Continue.
Okay. So I told him, load the car up, take it to RCS. We went in there at night.
Yep.
Pulled the rear end all apart, and I took the lineup bar that we used to do the rear ends.
Right.
Sure enough, the right-hand side of the car was out. It was out about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
Well, then we found out the young man that was driving it, when he was pulling out of the trailer, it fell off one of the ramps
Right.
on the right rear end. That's how the housing
And that's how it
bent.
got bent.
It was an Oldsmobile housing.
Okay, yeah, right.
Okay,
Correct.
so we cut it off,
Yep.
used the fixture, rebuilt it on,
Yep.
and then we decided to go to San Fernando.
Yep.
And so Jim had Joe,
Yes.
come out and tune it.
Okay.
And I remember making 2 or 3 runs. I don't remember if we ran elimination or not. We probably did.
Right.
And the car went straight as an arrow.
Straight as an arrow. Okay.
Blazing the tires all the way down the track.
And how much weight did you say that thing had on the front end?
Well, at San Fernando we had like 125 pounds.
125 pounds. Okay. Right. Okay.
But then they come out with a new Goodyear tire and everybody says, oh, that's a tire to run.
Right.
So Jim buys these new Goodyears.
Okay.
So we decided, okay, we'll go to the PDA meet at Long Beach.
Okay.
Okay, well, due to that crash I had back in '65 in the attic,
Yes.
CJ was kind of upset, didn't want me to drive at Long Beach.
Right.
But then a lot of drivers got together and said he's fine because they had driven the Piranha all through 1966 all over the country on tour.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, you can make a run.
It
but I'm
can't
gonna
possibly
watch
be
you.
the driver. Everything's fine, right?
So I'm gonna stand behind you and watch you run. Okay. Well, we decided to go up the right-hand lane.
Yes, right-hand side, right-hand lane, right?
And it was right against the fence.
Yes.
And I hammered that thing, and it went straight into a big giant wheel stand. It was turning to the right.
Oh my God.
And I remember seeing a guy on a ladder, jumping off the ladder, and his camera flying through the air. And I got the car down safe.
Yes.
Didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
Went down and turned off. Well, CJ said, that's cool. You're in, no problem.
Okay, you can drive the thing. You didn't hurt anybody. Everything's
Right.
fine. Okay.
So the next run, we qualified. And it was carrying the front end, but not really bad. So
Right.
Tom did something. I don't know what he did, but it was still a straight can, 98%, whatever you had in it.
Yeah. Right.
And he says, you're going to have more power.
How was that? How was that?
Well, I wasn't ready for it because, I had a lock-up clutch.
Right.
So I hammered on the starting line, and it just enclosed me in smoke.
Right. Okay.
I backpedaled it. That was a qualifying run.
Okay.
And that was a qualifying run.
That was a qualifying run.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all
this
right.
time, I said, I'm going to drive it with the clutch.
Right.
The first round.
Okay.
We raced Dwight Salisbury.
Okay.
And he was in a car from Northern California.
Right.
And so we left together, and about 100 feet out, the car started picking the front end up. When I got to where the stands were on the left side, it was heading towards the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm turning, and I eased out of it, and it dropped the front end down. I got it straightened out. But what really sticks in my mind, I looked at the people in the stands, and their eyes were about that big. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, of course they were. Of course they were.
You're going that fast to see that. That's how fast your reactions were.
Right.
So I got it down, and here comes Dwight up beside me.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he pulled ahead of me as I start picking him up, and I see his chutes come out about 1,000 feet, and I drove by him.
Okay, so you
And
won
won the
first
race.
round. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
second round, I don't really remember, but we made it 2 rounds, and
Right.
we got beat.
Okay.
So then Tom kept saying, well, with new tires and the motor being back too far, it's one of them deals you should probably turn on a new car.
Yeah. Right.
So we took all the stuff out of that car, and I built a new car at RCS, which was called the Trip.
The Trip. Yes.
If you remember the surfer's car, which had that sunflower?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that was Jim Hoskinson's buddy, wife, put that on there, because you guys are a bunch of hippies.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
So
Well,
that
thank
was
you.
the story. But then the next car we built, we started on Monday,
Yep.
ran it Sunday at San Fernando with the same motor in it, the surfer motor. And Tom came out and helped us again.
Wow.
And we ran that car for about 6 months. Then Jim got sick, ended up in St. Paul, Minnesota at the hospital back there.
Right.
And
That was it.
He couldn't do it anymore.
Right. Sure.
And then I took on other cars.
Sure.
I don't remember what car after that.
Yeah, but you drove the Surfers Mobile, and
Yeah.
you did it.
Yeah.
And then there aren't many people in 2016 to talk to about that. So.
Well,
thank
I don't know if Mike and me grew up together, went to high school together at
Really?
Venice High.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
And we ran around together at the Clock and Dolores's and the 19th Cent Hamburger. He had a 32 or pickup truck.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? And I had a 51 Oldsmobile.
Right.
We used to go street racing together.
Okay. Continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was racing with helping John Peters and Nye Frank. I was
Yes.
going to racing with them
There's the
guys.
connection. Right.
Okay. And that's what
Adrian
really
Otto.
got me interested in driving a top fuel, any car.
Right.
And then Mike had after that he got into drag racing. He had a Willys, like a 34 Willys.
Yes, he did.
An
Correct.
injected Chevy.
Yes.
And they ran that for a while. And
Yes.
then he built a injected dragster.
Right.
He ran that.
Yes.
I've got pictures of it.
Yes.
And then he got the surfer deal.
Yeah, now the question I have, because you might be able to answer this question after all these years, is Mike started out driving the car initially, the surfer car, and then he and Jimmy Crosser had a problem.
Yeah.
And then he left. And he left for about 6 months.
Right.
The question we have is, we don't see any evidence of him driving any other dragsters
He
at
had
that
junior
time.
fuel car.
He had that junior fuel car, so he just kept driving that.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months later,
He's back
when
in the
Crosser left, Sorokin came back,
Right.
and then the history really took off.
Okay, all the time I was racing, I raced Mike one time at Ramona.
Right?
I was driving the NW root beer car
You were the guy in the other lane. Oh my God, this is gorgeous. Okay.
with the Hemi Ford in it.
Yes. Yes.
And Mike and me used to joke with each other, so I pulled some shit on the starting line.
Oh no, what did you do?
When I staged, I revved that sucker up to about 8,000 RPM, and he said he couldn't hear his motor,
Yes.
and I left on it, and they never caught me.
Oh,
So I beat him one time.
yes.
The number after that, he
Yeah.
always blew my doors off.
Yeah, right.
But we go back, well, all through Venice High and
Yeah.
street racing, and I miss Mike. We had a lot of fun together.
And that's another really important point to mention, is that once again we're bringing up somebody's name that's been gone for many years,
Right.
but was highly respected, a really good guy, and we're talking about him in 2016, which
Well,
is
Mike
priceless.
and me were like this through school.
Yeah.
And then just after school. And then, you know, he used to go over to John, Peters, and
Yeah,
we used to hang
right.
around. The whole bunch of us in that area were all racers.
Right.
Go up to Ingalls with Peters and Moody
Yep.
and all them guys.
Yep.
And old Jack Engel was a super neat guy.
Yep.
And the days back then were fantastic. So,
Yes.
I mean, I really miss them. Sorry I'm getting old, but that's the way life is, right?
Well, you're not a day older than we were then, up here and in your heart, and that's
Yeah.
what counts. So
We're still racing.
yes. Thank you very much. I
Cool,
really
man.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
You're the best. Well, one more question. I got to ask you about that night at Fontana.
Okay.
And I don't know when that was, and it's hard to remember exactly because there were so many races. But
I was there driving Dick Stahl's called the Revenger,
right.
the Hemi Ford.
Yes. Right. Correct.
And Mike was, I think it was before last round. He went all the way to the final.
Right.
And they
Correct.
broke it.
Yes.
And so next thing you know, Mike says, we need your help. And we had plenty of people. So we turned the car up on its side,
Right.
pulled the pan off.
Right.
Guy came over with hose clamps.
Yes.
And we clamped the bearings onto the crank.
Right.
And then, from what I remember, they pulled they left the plugs in it, but we grounded them out.
Yes. Correct. This is what Tom talks about.
Okay, and then they had a hole in the side of the block.
Right.
So we got some good old 200-mile-an-hour silver tape,
Yes.
and we taped it all up. And I think we put something else on it too. I don't really remember.
Somebody talked about cardboard or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and we taped it with silver tape
Right.
and dropped it, put the pan back on it, put oil in it, got it in line, and the car sounded stronger then than it ever did before.
Figure that out.
Well, why?
It's like a drum.
Well, you have a V6, right?
Yes, yes.
And what's your blower boost going to do
On 6 cylinders
on
versus
6 or
8. Tom mentions that too. This is very wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
This is your perspective backing up what he's talking about, and that's wonderful. So they got down about how far did they get down the track before it stopped?
Half track.
Half track, okay.
And you never know, drag racing.
That's right, you don't. And that's a beautiful story, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.